Instagram Live as a run-up towards our 2022 conference titled Abuse and Harassment in Cyberspace Beyond the Perceived Notions of Mainstream. Just so that the new people who have never watched any of the lives and don't know about the conference, what the conference seeks to do is it seeks to initiate a discussion on the threats faced by the LGBTQIA plus community members on the internet, and also to facilitate sharing of niche and first-hand experiences of the community members, and to raise awareness about the challenges faced by the community while dealing with cybercrime incidents. You can know more about the conference. I request you all to follow our Instagram page or drop us a text on the helpline, wherever. So for today's live, we have Pearl with us. Just let me know what Pearl Daruwalla. Daruwalla, am I pronouncing it right?
Yes.
Okay.
Daruwalla, yes.
Is an out and proud gender non-conforming lesbian. She is currently working as diversity and inclusion manager at Impresario Entertainment and Hospitality Private Limited. Pearl has a background in event management and has worked with various event companies for 9 years. She has worked with organizations like Humsafar Trust and Kashish Art Foundation, and with different stakeholders such as corporates, education institutes, medical professionals, lawyers, and government officials in order to sensitize society towards LGBTQI plus community issues. Her main aim is to show the community in its true light and to work towards eradicating the discrimination it faces based on gender and sexuality. Thank you so much, Pearl, for accepting our invitation and being a part of the conference. I request you to add anything that I have missed or you would like to tell the audience about yourself.
No, I think these bios are for just for posts and written content. I didn't think someone would actually say it out loud. But yeah, I think you've covered it all. So I have been working with the social sector for the past almost 6 years now. And now I've moved to the corporate sector because I feel that the gap somewhere has to be filled from both sides and not just one. My main aim is to for corporate inclusion of LGBTQIA folks. So,
that's great. I think that's great work. For my first question today, what does a gender non-conforming identity mean to you personally?
So I think when I was discovering myself, I think it was easier for me to discover my sexuality because I always knew I didn't like men. You know, somehow it never clicked, it never connected. And although I came out to myself very late, I came out to myself when I was 26, I think 25, 26 years old. And then when I started reaching out to the community, I was always assumed or presumed or always taken to be a trans man other than a lesbian woman. And like people would not even ask me, am I trans or not? People would just say, oh, you're trans, how long have you been taking your hormones? How long, how long have you been, are you planning to do surgeries? And I was like, somewhere I internally didn't fit in that role as well. So I remember I went for a conference in Nepal, an LGBTQI conference in Nepal. And that was the first time when I heard this term, gender non-conforming. It was someone from a neighboring nation, Pakistan, who was explaining themselves and explaining what they do. And it just felt like it was the other person speaking, but they were my words. It just like suddenly clicked. Like it just felt like everything that I've been feeling, there is a word to it. There is an identity to it. So for me, gender non-conforming genuinely means that I do not conform to the societal concepts of any gender, whether it's male or female. And that's why I call myself as gender non-conforming. I do not fit in my binaries.
That's beautiful, actually. Whenever I have had cases like that, when somebody just puts on a word and it just feels right. It just feels like, oh, this is it.
Yeah, it feels like suddenly everything is falling into place, right? Because like
Yeah.
you're constantly struggling to put words to your thoughts, words to your
Hmm.
identity, words to your existence. And
Right.
when everyone is saying, no, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that, and you're like, no, I'm not. But
Hmm.
I don't know what I am. And suddenly you realize, oh, this is what,
Great.
yeah.
Great. So, how has your journey been on the internet?
It's been quite interesting, like, right from dating apps to social media. I think I've experienced it all. I remember when I started looking for partners online, and I think that time I don't think even Tinder had the option. So there was, I think OkCupid was there at that time, and some
Yeah.
other sites used to be there. And I think almost all the people I've spoken to were guys, disguised as women. And you would
Right.
like come to know after like say probably like a week, 2 weeks, even a month later. Sometimes you
Hmm.
get so emotionally attached, even though you don't know them. But you still,
Hmm.
because at the end of the day, you are also struggling to figure yourself out. You're struggling to figure your identity out, and in that, uh, you are, because we live in a country where we are not openly. I mean, we can't really. I mean,
Be ourselves. Yes.
yeah, I mean, right now, considering the political situation, to definitely not. But even when 377 was there, a lot of people didn't
Hmm.
realize. Pause for that, but yeah. But yeah, even when 377 was there, people didn't really realize that 377 never criminalized being gay or being
Right.
homosexual. They just
Hmm.
criminalized the act. But
Right.
when you're a 22 year old
Hmm.
person who is trying to suddenly realize that, oh, you're different, you're
Right.
going to be, you're so scared to even tell yourself that you are something different that you will never tell it to the others. So when
Right.
I was trying to explore myself and I was trying to find people on the internet to talk to, I would believe someone if they said they are a woman.
Hmm.
And in most of these cases, you get catfished.
Right.
And uh, luckily, I didn't have to meet any of those creeps in person. But
Hmm.
yes, a lot of times they ask for photos, they ask for nudes, they ask for and the funny thing is they actually share possibly other women's nudes that they are talking to as their
Hmm.
nudes.
Hmm.
Um, in fact, even when I was working with Humsafar, I got so many cases where and especially I would say about gay men here, that gay men being extorted, uh,
Right.
uh, they being harassed, they being and not only by civilians but also uh, government officials or also by cops. They're being called to a
Hmm.
certain place and then being their credit cards being taken away. They're being taken to ATM machines and withdrawing money. So yeah, I've seen it. And uh, again, when you look at social media, I mean, I have always been quite open on social media. I've always been quite
Right.
vocal on whatever my opinions have been, and
Hmm.
that often leads to a lot of negativity, a lot of shaming.
Right.
And it is so funny because, like, say, supposing if I'm putting a comment or I'm putting up a
Hmm.
post about, say, the government, or I'm putting up a post about, say, the law.
Hmm. Right.
A lot of people, when they reply to me with threats and all, they never really reply to the post, or they reply to the content in the post. They suddenly
Hmm.
start shaming your body, they start shaming your
Right.
identity, they start shaming because they have no other context to shame on. They
Right.
have
So
nothing
how
to
do
say.
you?
So,
Yeah,
sorry.
that was one of my other questions. How do you deal with these hate comments and DMs and everything?
Oh, I just laugh it off. I thought I'm totally like, I repost those as my stories and say, my sympathies to you, buddy. Take care of yourself.
Oh, that's great. I'm so glad that you were at that stage where you can laugh it off,
Yeah.
because uh, when I talk to a lot of people, they were still at that stage when they are trying to communicate with these trolls, and
Yeah.
they're feeling really bad that, okay, why are they saying that?
Hmm.
Because as you said, they are not targeting the ideology, they're personally attacking you
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
no reason at all.
Yeah.
So,
I'll tell
so
you
you
an
laugh it off.
incident that yeah, I'll tell you an incident that really changed my mindset about this. I I was working with Kashish Foundation. I mean,
Hmm.
still am, but I was working with Kashish Foundation, and uh, I think the year before last or the last year or something, during just before the festival, there was a huge issue that had happened where another member of the Kashish Foundation was pulled up basically because they were transphobic.
Okay.
And uh, the moment we asked them to step down, they sent out a huge post saying that, oh, Pearl is responsible for this and she has been scheming against us and plotting against me. And I was like, awesome,
Oh my
great.
god.
Yeah, and like a huge part of the community also supported them because they were a cis gay man. And I think at that time I just realized who my real friends are. And I think from that time onwards, I've just been like, I don't give a shit. Like, if I feel that I'm doing the right thing, I don't care what the others are
Right.
saying. If I
Right.
feel that you're being transphobic, I will say it out loud. Whether you might have worked for the community for 15 years, 20 years, I don't care.
Yeah, the last thing I heard was how you stopped caring about what people had to say, and you called
Yeah.
out people if they were being transphobic.
Yeah, I mean, as I was saying that, like, I don't care if you worked in the community or not. I don't care if you are from the community or not. If you're going to be phobic towards my community in any way
Right.
possible, I am going to stand up against it. Whether you like it or not, whether you're my friend or not, I don't care.
Right. I'm so sorry that happened to you. I mean, yeah, sounds bad. So, yeah, so that's great actually. But standing up against such a thing is also a huge, huge, brave thing to do, because a lot of times people don't even talk about it. That's there. Uh, with regards to the corporate sector, what was your first experience that said that corporate or media world is not that inclusive and it could be more inclusive?
I remember I used to take sensitization sessions for corporates when I first joined Humsafar. And it's like you're talking to managers, HODs, and people like not a start level, but I would say like a top level or even a medium level. And you would expect people with that kind of a caliber to be a bit open about these topics.
Right.
But I was so surprised or even in fact shocked to see that they wouldn't even say the word penis or vagina. They were so scared
Hmm.
because sex is
Right.
such considered such a taboo in this country. Although everyone has sex. I mean, look at our
Yeah.
population. So, but
Right.
seriously, but no one wants to talk about it.
Hmm.
And when you don't even talk about heteronormativity or or cis normativity, forget talking
Hmm.
about um, uh,
The queer community also.
homosexual people or
Right.
trans people or even gender non-conforming people.
Right.
So for them, it was just like, oh, these are foreign terms running out of somewhere. Suddenly, someone has come, and now why are you talking about it? And for me,
Hmm.
the only explanation was it's always been there. It's always been a part of this society. It's just this
Right.
society has never seen it.
Hmm.
And even after these sessions, a lot of people would come to me and say, "Oh, all this is fine, but in our family, there will never be someone like this." And I'm like, "What are you talking?" Like literally, CEOs of our companies have come and told me when there are like 40, 50,000 employees. They're like, yeah, that we completely understand, but there are no queer people in my organization. It's like, bro,
Right.
please look closely. Maybe you are not open enough for them to come out to.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Uh,
And trust me, this comes from all, like right from your Indian companies to multinational companies in India. The same story
wow.
everywhere. Yeah.
I don't understand. People have just turned, I guess, a blind eye towards everything at this point of time, and they just refuse to believe that,
Yeah,
oh,
of course.
okay,
Like,
I don't understand.
no, like look at the whole 2018 verdict when the verdict came out.
Hmm.
More than 70 companies changed their logos to rainbow colors.
Right.
Indian as well as multinational companies. We
Hmm.
did a survey and we did a study on that, and we found out that less than 10% of those companies had the infrastructure, had
Hmm.
the policies which supported the community. So it is very
Right.
easy to be saying that, oh, we are queer inclusive. But are you really queer inclusive? Are your policies queer inclusive? Is your staff queer inclusive?
Hmm. I guess that is the
Is your
question that
infrastructure?
comes up every time the Pride Month comes around and everybody just
Yeah.
changes their logos,
Yeah.
and that there's a huge debate on like, you're not really inclusive at all. Like, why are you doing this?
Exactly. And I think that's why I'm so, I mean, I'm not trying to, uh, what do you call it, incentivize my company here, but the fact is that the reason why I joined Impresario is that I know that in a lot of ways it is inclusive. Like,
Hmm.
at the start you asked me how was my trip. I had actually gone there for a, rainbow fest. It's called Satrangi Mela, and
Okay.
this was the third edition of it. And it's an IP that we have created. In fact, I have created which is where we support queer talent. So right from queer businesses to
Hmm.
queer artists. We support all of them. So we
That's
have
great.
a marketplace that goes on throughout the day where we promote artists, queer businesses, queer owned businesses, and that
Hmm.
too focusing majorly on queer women or trans folks.
That's great.
And in the evening we have queer performances. So this time we had like an open mic night. We had around 600 people for it, and it was packed. We had a open mic going on for 4 hours.
Oh wow.
Like
That's
people
great.
just didn't want to leave because the diversity of content that came out, you never see in cis het places like that.
Hmm.
And
Right.
just the freedom, the space to express yourself is what
Yeah.
makes it so special.
I would love to come next time. If I can, I
Hopefully, the
would
next
love
one will be
to.
in Bombay. Yeah, sure. I will invite you personally.
Yeah. I would love to be a part of that. So,
Sure.
with regards to corporate, do you think that it has seen changes, and what do you think can be amended or included to make it more inclusive, to make it more diverse?
I think the first thing that is needed is intent.
Hmm.
Like, and
Right.
genuine intent, like not like I don't believe in people telling me, oh, I want to sensitize my staff, so please come and give a session for free. That's not
Hmm.
intent. That's
Right.
I consider that as rainbow washing, because honestly you would have paid for a say if it was a manager training, you would have paid an expert to come and train you, right? The
Right.
same way, if you need someone an info about the queer community, you pay them. And this and then you have to just like look at it from every aspect. When you look at intent, intent has to be followed by actions. It can't be,
Hmm.
oh, we are a queer inclusive place, but our policies are not inclusive. Make your policies inclusive. It doesn't
Right.
take too much of effort. It doesn't take too much of cost. It's just that you have to try and give it your all, and that's it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's great. What else that can be included? like apart, if the company does have some sort of intent to
Hmm.
make their company more inclusive, what do you suggest that they do?
So basically, a lot of people ask me that, oh, if we get trans people, then they might not be comfortable, or others they might not be comfortable. So, I think sensitization of the staff, and not just once, but on a regular basis, is very, very important.
Right.
The second thing I would say is that a lot of times and I'm talking about the trans community here because they face a lot of discrimination compared to the
Yeah.
lesbian and gay community. When you
Right.
look at the infrastructure, a lot of people feel, "Arey, we can't have separate washrooms for them, or we'll give them the
Right.
disability washroom." That I don't think that's fair because again you're creating discrimination on a certain level. If
Yeah.
you have gendered washrooms, fine, let them use the washroom of their choice rather than creating like one washroom in like 6 floors. It makes no sense.
Right.
Uh, then the other things that you can do is definitely you look at policies. There has to be no zero discrimination policy. That has to include gender. That has to include sexuality, your sexual orientation, for that matter.
Right.
When you look at leaves, most of the company have maternity leave or paternity leave.
Right.
Rather than that, you can have a primary caregiver leave or a secondary caregiver leave.
Hmm.
Why is
Right.
the onus only on a woman to have take care of the child? I don't agree on that.
Yeah, that's
What
very
if the
true,
primary
actually.
caregiver of a child is the father,
The
or it's
father.
two fathers who are taking care of child?
Yeah. I
So
think
like
that,
simple.
yeah,
Yeah,
it,
sorry,
it
go.
should be, sorry, the policies should be more gender inclusive in general, I believe that. Because binaries, we have all divided it into binaries, and
Yeah,
now it's not supposed to be there. People need to
exactly.
change and amend themselves and grow, we believe.
Ex- Exactly. Like even the health insurance, like right, just changing it from a spouse to a partner makes so much of a difference for the
Right.
community. In fact,
Right.
my partner is trying to get me as a nominee in her company. She's still trying to fight that battle, but it's going on. So yeah, slowly and steadily, companies are also understanding. See, I genuinely feel that people are just ignorant because we've never spoken about this,
Right.
and that ignorance leads to arrogance, and it leads to a lot of discrimination. If you just remove that ignorance and you explain it to people, but again, the onus cannot always be on the community to be the spokesperson of the community.
Right.
I my lived trauma cannot be your uh, information source, right?
Exactly. Right. Right.
So yeah, I
Absolutely.
think understanding the community is the step one. Rest everything follows.
All right. So you talked about your experiences on dating apps. What suggestions do you have for queer people who are just starting out on dating apps?
I think now dating apps have also become quite inclusive. I mean, I think Tinder is doing a great job. I think I worked with Tinder a couple of years ago when they introduced the gender list that is now available on Tinder. I think it's a
Right.
great initiative. I think that they're taking care to ensure that you know catfishing like that doesn't happen.
Right.
But yeah, just be careful. Just uh, be patient is what I would say. I understand that there are not many spaces available for the community to meet each other, but I would just say please be careful, please be alert, and yeah, just stay safe. That's it.
Right. So, as a closeted person, how do you think that the cases of cyberbullying or cyber harassment that come up on new social medias affect those closeted people?
It just scares them. It scares them to, like, I mean, I have met so many closeted people who have have met someone on social media, not social media also. I've met someone on these dating apps, have gone to meet them and found out that they were, they were harassing them or roping them of money. They've sexually assaulted them. And the thing is that these guys can't even go to their parents because they're closeted, they're scared. Uh,
Right.
they can't go to the police because they do not trust our system. And
Hmm.
fairly so, because there are so many times when I've gone to the cop station and they've been like, oh, but physical harassment to nahi hua na, to kya problem hai? But what about the
Hmm.
emotional
Right.
harassment that a person goes through? You don't
Yeah.
need to see a wound to know someone is injured.
Exactly. Right. So from that
So,
question itself, yeah, no, please
yeah.
continue. Please continue.
No, so like I think, yeah, I think uh, just like for closeted people, it becomes a whole different space of fear, space of anxiety, where they even feel more so that they shouldn't be coming out.
Hmm. Right. So, with regards to the cases that you're talking about, as a queer person, I totally agree that reporting becomes a problem, and because it's a taboo society, and it becomes really difficult. So, how do you think that a queer person could report and redress these instances of cyber abuse?
I would suggest, please. I mean, as per law, you can report these things. So even if a cop tells you that you cannot and this is not, please know that you can legally you can report these things, and it's an official crime if someone is harassing you even on the internet. You
Right.
know, being gay, being lesbian, being trans, being gender non-conforming, being non-binary is not a crime, guys, and that's the reality of even of this nation.
Right.
You can be whoever you want in this nation and you're still a citizen of India and a law abiding citizen of this India. So please report it out, report it to your closest police station. If you cannot do that, reach out to organizations who can help you. You can always reach out to me. I'm always available for support in these kind of cases. uh, but yeah, there are so many organizations that you can reach out to, and definitely Humsafar is one of them. There's Color Positive. There's, I mean, in different cities, there are different organizations. So
Right.
if you need any help, please reach out to us. Reach out to any queer friend that you know, and they will help you out. But don't be
Right.
quiet. Don't get physically, mentally, or financially assaulted by these bullies, because they are at the end of the day they were bullies. The
Hmm.
more you bow down to them, the more they will bully you. Don't
Right.
give in to them.
So, I thank you so much for that. Another question that I have is that the socially used slang word cross-dressing has become a part of comedy, media, and television industry in the country. How do you
Yeah.
feel that that would impact a person who's just has started exploring their identity in the queer spectrum?
Uh, I think. I think gay was a slang in media a couple of years ago. Lesbian was a slang in movies like Girlfriend a couple
Right.
of years ago. So all these identities have been a part of humor for the media, because they don't understand these terms and they don't
Right.
understand the dynamics of these terms. So even when we look at, say, someone like cross-dressing, as you mentioned, for them it's either someone who doesn't cross dresses or someone who cross dresses. There's nothing in between.
Hmm.
But what people don't understand is that there is a spectrum to everything,
Right. Right.
and people can be on different parts of this spectrum. So
Hmm.
please don't take them seriously. Don't think that, oh, if you're cross dressing, you are not man or not woman or whatever they say. Because
Hmm.
you are what you are. Like, you are what you feel from inside. Don't let others define it, whether it's media, whether it's movies, whether it's even our government for that matter.
Right. Do you
You
think
decide
that
what you want to identify. Yeah, sorry.
the media has taken it in such a comical sort of way that do you think that's correct or do you think that's helpful in any sort of way?
It's horrible. It's not even I mean, I don't even know what to call that, but I don't, the thing is, talking about it gives them more importance, and I don't want to do that, because the fact is that that's what they're doing it for, right? They're doing it for publicity, they're doing it for, so that they get more importance, so that they can publish more content like that.
Hmm. Right.
Like look at representation of yeah, in that movie Musty, look at the representation of a trans woman.
Right.
If you see, it's highly derogatory, right?
Right.
Or if you see Isha Kopika's character in Girlfriend, or I mean,
Hmm.
look at any gay character in a movie. It's
Right.
so stereotypical because people don't understand it. But us
Hmm.
talking about it is just making it more and more and more uh, publicizing it. So I would just say don't believe it, because that's not the reality.
Hmm.
And this is the belief that the media has of this identity, but that's not supposed to be true. So
Right.
as long as we are fighting that battle of stopping media from doing this,
Hmm.
and that is happening. That's on a level. A lot of organizations are doing that. But what you can do is don't pay heed to these kind of uh, representations, because
Right.
it's not real.
Right. So, from your when you were talking about the movies and how they are portraying the queer community, there are a lot of movies that are coming out now and series for OTT platforms specifically that are coming up with more queer content. So, what do you think can be changed with the coming of queer content in the mainstream with big faces?
I think the only thing that needs to be, I mean, I don't even know if there's a change. I think it's an evolution. You know,
Hmm.
people are genuinely understanding what it is to be queer and trying to represent it. Look at the character of that woman in the Madhuri Wala show. I don't remember the name. Fame Game. It
I
was so
don't know.
subtle.
Hmm.
So the cop who plays the role is shown as a lesbian woman, but the
Right.
fact that the focus is not about her identity and it's about the
Hmm.
role is what makes it so natural and so beautiful.
Right.
In the same way, if you see Arya, there's
Hmm.
a cop who's playing a gay character,
Okay.
but again, the focus is not about, oh, he's gay and he's, no, the focus is about
Hmm.
that character, and that's what normalizes queer content, right? You
Right.
you you show them as people and not as just being a lesbian or a being gay, just being trans. No, you're showing them as themselves, and being gay or being lesbian or being trans is just a part of it.
Art. Right.
They are that's an aspect of them. That's not
Hmm.
just completely them. Like in
Right.
fact, a lot of community would not agree with me, but I like Badai though, because in a lot of ways it does in so small ways it does show that this is how the community is.
Hmm.
You know, they've at least not stereotyped a lesbian woman, or they've not stereotyped a gay man.
Hmm. Right.
And I know it's baby steps, but I think growing up I didn't have that kind of a
Hmm.
space to look up to.
Right.
Like I am sitting in Bombay and I don't have that kind of a space. Imagine for a tier two, tier three city person who's already fighting with their identity or sexuality, who has no one to talk about to.
Right.
So these kind of representations do hold a lot of value.
I agree. Hmm.
I remember
So,
I used to handle a sorry.
yeah, please continue. Please continue.
No, I remember I used to handle a helpline for Umang, which is a support group for lesbian and bisexual women and trans persons.
Right.
And I used to get calls from like smaller villages of Haryana, smaller Rajasthan, and like where someone would just want to hear your voice saying that you are not alone, where you are not
Right.
wrong.
I think that representation is really important.
Yeah.
So, like, what changes can be made in the current system that can actually make it more queer inclusive?
I think just the sensitivity around it. You
Hmm.
know, not like, you know, people need to understand that queer characters cannot be black or white. It's like every gay character cannot be effeminate, or every lesbian character cannot be butch.
Right.
Understanding that there is a spectrum and there are people around the spectrum, and just being sensitive towards that spectrum,
Right.
making sure that people are shown as people and not just like overhyped queer characters.
Yeah. I think that would bring much more normalization than it already
Yes.
has currently in the
Yeah,
community.
yeah,
Uh,
it does. It will. Yeah.
so, just my last question for today, and what was it like growing up as a queer person in an Indian family?
It was very I am from a Parsi family. I'm from a very not very traditional, but yes, I'm from a traditional Parsi family where I was not even allowed to think that I could be with someone other than a Parsi
Right.
boy, other than a Parsi boy. And I remember then when I was small, I was just surfing channels and I saw this movie called Girlfriend. I mean, that time also I found it very problematic. But I was just seeing it, and my mother walked into the room and she's like, "What the hell? What are you seeing? This big bad omen. You cannot watch all this stuff. This is very
Right.
wrong." Yeah. So I always had that mindset in my head where being straight was the only option. Uh, but and that's why it took me 26 years for me to actually accept myself.
Right.
But I realized that I was the biggest enemy of mine, because the moment I started accepting myself and I started normalizing myself, I saw that people around me also did the same. I remember
Right.
I came out to my best friend, and I was like literally shaking at that time. Literally, like, I couldn't even talk, and I told her that I might be gay, and like, I think 30 seconds of silence, and I was like, this friendship is over now. But she just hugged me and said, "It's cool, man, no stress." I
Right.
remember I took my mother to Kashish for the first time, and it was like a different world for her because, like, people were expressing themselves, and she was like, she didn't know what to say. It took
Right.
her almost 2 years to start that process of acceptance, because even when I came out to her, like, she was like, "Oh, but what will happen? What about your partner? What about, you have to get settled in life?" Because that's the
Right.
basic questions every parent has, like, what you should have a child, you get married.
Right.
Today, I live with my partner. Uh, Both our parents are super accepting of us, even though we have a 10-year age gap. So, like, it's amazing. Like, we have children in the form of cats and dogs,
Right.
and and it's the feeling is still the same, right?
Yeah.
It's just that like, in a way, I have a family, and my mom has accepted that family.
That's great.
So yeah, and with
That's
my
great.
father, it was yeah, yeah.
I am so glad. So today, these are the only questions that I have for you, Pearl. Uh, it was so great talking to you. I got so many insights today from this talk, and I'm glad that you accepted our invitation. And
Of course.
I hope you had fun. Uh,
I totally had a blast. I think I did a Instagram live after years. I'm not like, I don't do Instagram lives, or like, I don't do a social media live. But yeah, so this was really fun.
Thank you so much. Again, just for the audience, we will be posting some support groups after some time, and obviously, our helpline and our organization are totally open to any legal aid that you would require on content removal. You can find a number on the Instagram page, and I am so looking forward to having you on the panel and
So
having a very good discussion on what can be done and what is the scenario today. And
sure.
yeah, that's it. So thank you so much, Pearl.
Thank
I hope
you.
you have a great day.
Yeah, you too. And thank you for everyone who's joined us. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.